makers, and welcome to today's video where we are going to be looking at this bowl of adorable knitted and crochet things that I completed in the months of May and June, as well as talk about the things that I'm working on for this month, which is July. If you're new here, my name is Kim and I love yarn. I also love to knit and crochet and share those passions with you. And I am just grateful that you decided to spend some time with me today. If you're returning, thank you so much for coming back. It really means a lot to me, and I really appreciate and love interacting with all of you guys in the chat and the community posts. I've had a busy couple of months, and I was still able somehow to get 1,153.6 yards completed. Now that is not counting my works in progress yardage, so that would actually be more than that, which is mind-blowing to me. And I wanted to share these things that I made with all of you. So let's dive right in. The first one I want to talk about is this. This is a pattern that I was not planning on doing at all. This is called Tesla. Tesla is a pattern designed by Victoria Gull. I used a total of 173 yards for this. This yarn was left over from that Annie's kit review that I did, and I'll link that down below. And it's 100% cotton and DK weight yarn. I used the lavender, the Mexican rose, the mint, the gold, and then mandarin. The only color from that entire kit I did not use was the blue because I didn't want this to have that stark contrast, but I used those yarns because I want this to match the set that I had already made, because this is going to go out into the studio as well, and I just kind of want them to be matchy in a way. I really like this yarn. It works out really nicely. This pattern, y'all, it was, again, not a planned make. I was actually perusing the Hobie Facebook group, and there was another member in there who had posted a question regarding this pattern. And I pulled it up, and I was very much intrigued by it, so I decided to make it along with them. Now, I will say it was not as easy as I thought it was going to be. The way that the pattern is written was not like how her photos were looking, and so I had to go researching, which led me to a video on YouTube, and that YouTube video wasn't producing the same results during this mint section, so I had to go researching some more, and then I finally found the written chart to this thing. And once I found that, it was like the little light bulb turned on over my head, and I knew what I was supposed to do. I am going to link all the Ravelry pages to everything I'm going to show you down below, and with that link, it'll not only take you to the pattern, but any other notes that I may have, as well as the yarn that I use. And you can see what hook or needle size I use as well, because I track all of that on my Ravelry pages. But I did enjoy this. There were a lot of puff stitches. You can see them here. I don't hate puff stitches. I don't love them either, though. They're just very kind of time consuming, but they have a wonderful pop to the piece. To block this, I did soak this because it is cotton, and I did pin every one of these picots, which is kind of tedious, but the results in the end make it very much worth it because they really stand out. And when this lays flat, it lays flat. There's no bumps, but it does have a really nice drape. So if I did want to put this on something like this, I can have part of it kind of hang around and then set the plant on top of it, or whatever else I was going to put on it. Or I could just lay it flat. Either way. But I think it turned out stunning. So the next thing I completed were my little octopuses, and these were for a donation, so I don't have these physically to show you, but the donation was something that was near and dear to my heart. So I mentioned these and linked the video, which is a free pattern by Marie Liss Lilly, in a previous video called Want to Crochet for a Good Cause, and you can find that link below. But I took up these at my local Worldwide Knit and Crochet and Public event that I had in June. And I had two community members who watched this channel actually make some octopuses and send them. You can see the ones that they made in the video that I have posted of that event on the channel, and I'm super grateful for them. If you wanted to participate and send in some octopuses, you could actually contact me, or you can contact the library. Their information is in that video in the description. I used 100% cotton on mine, and I used a total of 120 yards for both of them. The hospital will only allow ones made out of cotton, and the eyes have to be sewn on. They cannot be any kind of safety eyes because those are not safe for any child under the age of 3 or pets because they are a choking hazard, even though they're called safety eyes. And it drives me crazy that they're called that because they're not safe. I loved doing this drive. And the reason it was so near to my heart is because both of my boys, who are now teenagers, were both NICU babies, and crazy stories with both of them. But the first one was a week and a half early and 9.5 pounds. The second one was 2.5 weeks early and 10 pounds. And I never had gestational diabetes or anything with either one of them. They were just big babies, but they had some complications when they were born because they were early and they had to spend time in the NICU. So I know the emotional drain it has on parents having children in there. And it's, you know, it's scary. It's sad. And you want to bring your babies comfort, and you can't really touch them that much. But these octopuses do just that. So the theory behind them is once they're made and they're sanitized, they're put in the little cubicle boxes with the babies, and the babies can wrap their fingers around them and their hands. And the tentacles of the octopuses actually mimic the umbilical cord in the womb. And I just thought that was super special and adorable. And that's why I had to be a part of that. So let's talk about the third thing that I finished. And that was these little mosaic goldfish. And these are by a designer who is called Sweet Softies. And I've talked about her work before. She has really cute, adorable things, just like the previous designer. I was chosen to be a test crocheter for these new fish. And there is a free download of this pattern on her website, and I'll link that below, but the free version only comes with one fin variation, and if you buy the pattern that's $3.99, you get 4 variations. I'm not affiliated with her at all. I don't get anything for talking about her patterns. I just thought they were cute and fun, and I was excited to get to be a test crocheter for them. But we're going to talk about the small one first. And since these are a non-fitted item, her pattern is written so that you can use any weight yarn, and they're no-sew. So all these are made with just picking up stitches, and there's no having to go back in and sew things on, which is always a huge hit for me because I hate sewing on pieces. Do not like it at all. But this one I use fingering weight yarn scraps. Oh, had it upside down. And this one I use sport weight, and you can see the difference. And that's all that's going to be different depending on what weight you use. Besides the yardage is the size of them. So for the small one, I did the option number 2, which is called the variegated drop stitch. And that just refers to the detail on its body. This black is one of my favorite black hand-dyed yarns. It's from Dawn Roving, and it's called Timberwolf. I use it also on the accents of the body and the top fin and its little side fins. This bright pink is some gecko yarns in the colorway Sizzle. And then the lighter pink is just some random leftovers. It's Lorna's Laces, but I don't know the colorway name. And it's in Shepherd Sock. And the aqua is also Lorna's Laces. And I do know the name of that one, and it's called Aqua. But unfortunately, Lorna's Laces is no longer in business. So for the bigger one, I use some of my favorite sport weight yarns. Like this blue is Malabrigo Arrow. And it is a sport weight yarn. And this one is actually what I have left over from my Color Affection shawl. The colorway is called Reflecting Pool. And it's just this pretty variation of different blues. And then this peach is actually some leftover Wonderland yarns. I don't know the colorway name though, because it's been a while since I've used it. The gray is Madelinetosh Sport, and the colorway Astrid Gray. It's one of my favorite grays. I use it a lot as well. But I love the way the puff stitches puff out and really give it a really cool design. But they're super, super easy to make. And I have the cutest little idea on how I'm going to display these, but I can't show you that yet because what I need to make them and put that in there is currently packed up. So you'll have to wait until I get out into the Yarnatopia studio before you can see that. And a good way to do that is by making sure you subscribe to this channel and hitting that notification so you can see when I post those videos. And I only use 42 yards to make both of them. So both of them are perfect scrappy projects. Which brings us to my fourth finished object, and this one was a lot of fun. It was inspired by another content creator here on YouTube. They have a video up where they were doing a crochet along, or a cal, C-A-L, and it was called Birds of a Feather. But Lisa, who is Lisa Crochet, decided to do this crochet along where you use some kind of bird as your inspiration that is where you live. So I could have used the yellow hammer, which is our state bird. I didn't want to do that. I talk about turkeys so much on my channel because there's like 30 that roam around our land that I knew I was going to make a turkey. So Ross is a pattern by Toft Designs, and one of the reasons I made Ross is because in the TV show Friends, if you're familiar with Friends, Ross is one of the friends. And since this is the Birds of a Feather cal and we're supposed to find something that relates to us and it's about friends, I was like, okay, that's perfect. But the only way you can get this pattern, and this is kind of the downfall, is you have to buy the book. Or you have to order your kit straight from Toft Designs. I did not have enough time to order the kit all the way in the UK and have it shipped. I was able to order the book from Amazon and have it sent in 2-day shipping. And I'll link that down below. And I really am glad I did buy this book. It was on my wish list for a while, and there's a lot of cute birds in here. But I do want to give some background on this book. This book is broken up into 3 levels. So you have level 1, which has some birds in it. You have level 2, which is what Ross is. And then you have level 3 birds. And the levels vary by the type of stitches used to create them and techniques used. They're all fairly easy. The only thing I have issues with about this book, number 1, is because it's a book like this, so it doesn't really lay flat. You kind of have to push it. A good way to fix that is to take these to your local office supply store and they can actually wire bound it for under $5, which is what I'm going to do to this one. Another issue I have is the way that the patterns are kind of written in this book. So I've showed the monster book before on my channel by the same people, and they have pages that you flip. It's spiral bound. This one, as you're making, you have to refer to the main body, which is way over here in the front of the book, which is fine, but you're constantly flipping back and forth. And that kind of can get very irritating, especially if you're trying to make this during traveling time, because it is the summer. Same way for the feet and hands and wings. You get the main parts on this page and you come all the way back over here and get the other stuff. The other thing I think is kind of strange is there's really no directions for putting the pieces together. You have to sew the pieces together on this thing. So when I got to the back tail feather, all it says was to stitch the chain stitches together and then you just put it on. It didn't really tell you where to put it on. So a lot of pattern books say like put the eyes on stitch 9 and 15 on row 4, or put the arms on row 23. This doesn't do that. And a great tip I have for that is as you're making your amigurumi, stab it with something. So I typically grab DPNs just because I love DPNs. I use them for sock knitting. So I have a bunch of them and they're typically everywhere. So as I make and get ready to put the arms on, I'll stab them and then I can crochet them on and sew them on and I don't have to worry about them moving. Same thing as I do with the tail. Another option you can do is to use large safety pins or those big plastic stitch markers and hold them on. You can even use smaller crochet hooks and stab them that way. but just to kind of figure out where you want to put things. That way you don't have to like put it on there, take it off, put it on there, take it off. You can just unstab it and then move it how you need it to. But I do love how Ross turned out. I did make more feathers for Ross than he was supposed to have, mainly because I was watching TV and not paying attention. Shh, but nobody on that. Ross did have an incident. So the way you make your legs is you start up here in its little thigh, and then you go down and you make each individual toe. Well, I got the first leg put on, and then I made the second leg, and then I realized that Ross had 2 different kneecaps. So Ross had to have surgery, and Ross had to have a knee liposuction. But you can kind of see where I had to go in. He has a line right here, and I had to pull those stitches together to kind of cinch his kneecap together because it was almost twice the size of the other kneecap. So either he had like fell and hurt it and injured it and it was all swollen. So he had to go in and have that fluid removed. And he had to have kneecap liposuction. But I really do love him. Now let's talk about the yarn, because here's the kicker. I use Dollar Tree yarn. Ross is 100% Dollar Tree Premier yarn. His body is the Just Tweed, and his feathers are the Just Tweed, but the black, the tan, this blue slate color, the orange, all of that is just the Premier Just yarn. So since he has 6 colors, he literally costs $6 to make besides the pattern book. That yarn is actually a really, really nice acrylic. I did put pipe cleaners in his legs so I can have Ross standing and he kind of has some sturdiness to his legs to hold up his big old body. Or I can make him a shelf sitter and I can bend his legs over the shelf and they're not going to keep popping up as much. So that's an idea when you make something like this too, is to use some, I use plain pipe cleaners. I try to find ones that are similar in color so they don't show through, but they work perfectly. And I really love how Ross turned out. So Ross, he's going to have a special place in the studio. He's going to kind of be like our mascot of the channel since there are so many turkey that live on our land. And I'm sure as the season changes, you will see more of them. And possibly him. Now let's talk about one of the projects that has brought me so much joy. If you have been watching these videos, you probably know that I have a slight addiction to plants. Same as making cute little random plant-like things, but I did complete one of my Toft patterns. This Toft kit came in this really nice box. It has a magnetic front. I don't think they make this exact kit anymore. I got it a couple years ago, but it came with all the yarn to make all the little mini bulbs. And with this kit, there were a total of 6 designs. The first one I made was this guy, the little bulb. And you can see how adorable it is. Love these. All these yarns are 100% wool. And they're from the Toft company. They smell delicious. The second one I was making was this one, and it is completed. My eyes are a little bit smaller. Again, they don't really tell you where to put the eyes. I just kind of looked at the card as close as I could and tried to count. I probably could have made him a little bit bigger, but I'm okay with him having smaller eyes. I had asked in one of my videos and in the chat, and y'all said to make the bump its belly, and I think that was a wonderful decision because he is absolutely adorable. These were a pain in the neck though, just gonna tell you. The way that this was created, it made these kind of hard. Going forward, if I ever make this again, which I really kind of want to make a bigger one of it, what I'm gonna do is make these separately, the petals, and then sew them on. I know that goes against everything I talk about sewing because I hate sewing, but in this case it would, I think, be a lot easier because you'd already made the body and the head and you have to make these petals on the head. But when you get over here and you're trying to bend this to crochet, it may not be as bad with a bigger gauge and a bigger yarn, but with this little sport weight fingering yarn and an E-hook. It was a nightmare. Next one of that kit I'm making is this. And you see my poor pattern got smushed, but I have already got his little legs and his body made. And I've already started on his first little, what is the word? Leaf arm. And then I just have to do his other leaf arm and then the top part of him, and he will be done. But I think this whole kit is absolutely adorable. The rest of the patterns that come with it are this one. And then there is this one. And then that one. I want to try to make this one next month, I think. So I did finish my Close to You shawl, and I love how it turned out. When you last saw this, it was here down, so just because there's the stitch marker, I left it in there. So you just saw this piece here, and then I finished all of this since I've last talked about my projects. So that's a good bit of knitting. This is a free pattern. It is called Close to You, and I'll link that down below. So the actual pattern though has you just do these eyelets here in this tooth section. You can kind of see where the tooth section stops right here, but I like to do things a little bit differently, so I carry them all the way across. In doing so though, it does kind of change the shape of your shawl, because this is a lot more of a relaxed area. So when I went in to do my border, because I did one more repeat down here of the eyelets, it made my just basic garter, border, and bind off kind of ruffly, as you can see there. But I'm okay with that. I think this is so much pink in it, and I know colors are not really gender specific. I feel more feminine when I wear pink than normal. I'm not really a girly girl kind of girl. As you can tell, I don't ever wear makeup. I don't do a lot of jewelry. But I think it works well for this because of all the pink. And I've really gotten to where I really enjoyed wearing pink and using pink more. The ruffle section does allow it to kind of hang better when you're wearing it, I think. And I would probably wear it like this and maybe stick a pin in here, right about here. So it kind of shawl pin, so it kind of accentuates that ruffle. And I think it just looks really adorable. I love all this color. And I love that I'm done with this now, because it's like a hug from my friend. And I talk about that story and how this yarn came to be on the project page, and I've talked about it before on this channel, but I think Michelle would love it too, so that makes me happy. So going back to works in progress, I have my snakes to show you all, and they are growing a lot. I have not worked on them at all for the month of July. I plan on working on them this weekend, but I'm also going to try to repaint our bathroom this weekend. But you can see here, there is some of this purple. This is because it was over 90 in my area for several days. And I'm only doing the actual temperature highs for this snake and the actual temperature lows for this snake. But I am in Alabama, so we have humidity here. And the humidity, I'm not even accounting for, but if I did, these colors would not be the same. Because even though it was over 90, actually, with our feels like temp and our humidity, it's actually been over 100 on these days. Because our humidity here is insane. Hence why I have all the frizzies all the time. I love this project so much. You can see where I've left all these stitch markers in here, so you can kind of see where each month begins and ends. But this has been one of my favorite projects to work on. And this is my first time ever doing a temperature type project. Will I ever do a temperature blanket? I don't know. I love projects like this, but a whole year-long project is very daunting to me. It does give me anxiety. Like, I feel like if I fall behind, then I'm like, oh no, I have to, I have to catch up. With these, it's controllable anxiety for a temperature snake. I'm not sure how that would work for me for a temperature blanket. Maybe a temperature scarf one day, which brings us to the new knitting and crochet projects. Yay! So they're not really new. They are kind of a whip that I picked up. And I've shown these on this big whip video that I did a while back because I have like 20 whips. And I'm trying to work through those before the end of the year. But I keep starting new things, so it's not really working out well for me. But I've shown these little socks that I'm making out of Desert Vista Dye Works yarn. This was a knit along that I did last year where you make a pair of socks a month from this designer's yarn. You can only use her yarn. And it has to be socks or a hat or mitts, fingerless mitts. And it has to use over 50% of the 400 yards that's in the skeins of yarn. And I did this all the way up to, I think, October. And if you complete all 12 months, you get and win a prize skein of yarn that is only dyed for the people that complete this knit along. I really wanted to win that. But as I talked about in that whip video, I got defeated by one project. I was just over it. My anxiety had beat me, and I put them in timeout, and I just gave up on the knit along. But from each month of the scraps, I was making a little bitty stocking with the idea that I'm going to take all of these and put them and make a garland. So I need a bunch of these. And so I made this one, and you can tell my pattern has kind of evolved. So this was the first one using the pattern that's a free pattern that the designer wrote. And I liked it, but it kind of has this weird hanging thing going on where it does this. I didn't really like that. And I felt like the foot and the cuff were a little not symmetric. So I've kind of altered the pattern a little bit. Maybe that's just because I'm so used to having big feet that I feel like the feet should be longer. I don't know. But this is my new pattern going forth. It's more of like a recipe from their pattern, and I like it a lot better. And these are not going to be identical anyways. I don't care if they're a little bit off. They're going to be hanging up high. You're not going to notice. I might know, but it's fine. And these are just a great way to use scraps. But after making this one, I enjoyed the process, but I wanted to expedite the process. So what I did was I'm doing 5 at a time. My husband was like, what are you doing? It's like, I'm just making 5 of these at one time. It's a lot faster. And it is. This is how I typically make my socks these days. I do love doing socks on DPNs. I hate doing magic loop. For those out there who are watching this and who love magic loop, you know, that's awesome. I know so many people love magic loop. I started by doing magic loop on things. I don't like it. I don't find it fun for me. I think it's too much wire management. So either I use DPNs, which I can use DPNs in a movie theater with no light, and I can feel my stitches on the needles and I know where I am. Or I do 2 at a time on 2, I think these are 24-inch circulars, and I just run each needle down one side, and this is my preferred way. So what I do is I have these in a basket, and you can see I'm currently using mason jars because basically I just washed them and they were sitting on my counter, and so it was the fastest thing to grab. And then knitting in bed at night, like, they were making little jingle noises and it was driving my husband crazy, so I put them in koozies that I got from my shed company, and then I put one of the yarn cake koozies on that one just to kind of keep them from making little dingy noises. But I have them as center pull balls, and as I knit, I have them set up a way so as I go across, I can just turn my basket and then flip this over, and I don't have any kind of entanglement of the yarn. So this was from a hat that I made during that. This was another hat that I made This was a pair of fingerless mitts. This was a hat that I made, and this was some socks. Super fun project, and it's going to be adorable. The next place that goes is into this. So this is my other works in progress. This has been on my needles forever. This is not something that I'm trying to get done before the end of the year because it's a long-term project. So my Cozy Memories blanket is a blanket composed of mitered squares that are all knitted, and they are all scraps from previous projects or scraps of projects from people who have sent me their scraps. And I call it my Cozy Memories blanket is because each one of these squares has a number associated with it. So what I did is I sat down and I taped some graphic paper together and I drew out all the squares. I did some math. I took the width of each square and I used that to figure out what size blanket I want to make to figure out how many squares I'm going to need. So I'm going to need 900 squares. And obviously there is not 900 squares here. But I drew all these out. And as I make a square, you can see where I am numbering it. And I'm kind of coloring in so I can kind of track. But if you pull up my project page, you can see that all the squares have a corresponding photo and each have that number. And if you look in the notes section of that project page, you will see that I actually link where that yarn comes from, and if someone gave it to me, I try to find the project they used it in, or I'll get them to tell me, and I actually put that there. And the reason I'm doing that is so many years down the road, when I sit under this blanket and I touch a square, I can look up that square and where it came from, and I can relive that memory and think of that person. And I think that is just a beautiful way to honor a friendship and a gift from someone. Now, there are a lot of variations of this kind of blanket online. Mine, there's no actual pattern, but there's a recipe. And my project page also has links to what I use to formulate how I'm making mine, as well as some videos and stuff like that. But I'm using my decreases so that they form diamonds. And you can see there's one there, there's one there. So all my squares are going different ways, but all their decreases have a specific purpose to make a diamond, and then that diamond makes a bigger diamond, and then so forth. I just think that's kind of a hidden detail that's really pretty. And majority of this is all things that I have used. And I'm using 7-inch straight needles. These are not DPNs, these are actual straight needles. But I bought these specifically for this project. These are Signature Needle Arts. These are probably one of the most expensive needles I've ever bought. They're their needle brand. A set of just 5 DPNs from them, one size is like $57. These I think were around $30 just for the straights, but I bought these for the sole purpose of this blanket. But once I make a square from this, if there's leftover yarn still, then it goes into a barn raising square. But this is my collection of barn raising squares that I've made over the years. These are knitted squares that you start in the center and that you work your way out. These would be a great pattern also to turn into a blanket. You can use any weight yarn for these. All these are fingering weight. But you see here is one of these squares, and there's the matching sock. And I don't think I've put that square in this blanket yet, but I had plenty of leftover yarn for this, so. And then this is a square that I've done. A solid pink one. This is that crazy yarn that I showed you in here, right there. Love that. This is that. Love this orange. It was gifted to me. This was gifted to me. This was my second pair of socks, if I remember correctly. And this was a pair of socks that I did a long time ago. And that's not all, because I love having things. I like having options. The thing I have actively that I'm working on right now is a shawl. And this is a crocheted shawl. Yay! I've only done one other crochet shawl in my over a decade of knitting and crocheting. And for this one, I was actually enabled by Sam, who is Memphis Makes, and her and Amanda from the Excessive Crochet Lady, and Rebecca from Sucre Crafts, which they have formed together, and they're doing this collab called the 3 in Glasses cowl. And I started with this. I was going to do these different colors. This is some Malintosh twist. It is a fingering weight base, it's applied yarn, and the color is called Magic. I thought it was super cool, but I'm not loving it at all. And so I pulled in some purple scraps to kind of do in between this eyelet section. I don't remember where the scraps are from. I don't think I have the label for that anymore. And then this black is some Lewitt gems, I think. And I think it's not bad, but I just wasn't loving the colors. So I stopped making it. So I decided to give it another go, because why not? So this time I picked up one of my Sultan cakes, and this is a Hobie yarn. This is why can't I say that word? Sultan Deluxe Shine. It is 250 grams, 1,093 yards, and you need about 1,000 yards for the shawl. So this shouldn't be plenty of yarn. This is a sport weight yarn. It's very fall, and you can see the pretty glittery. Ooh, love it, love it. And I'm using a G-hook, and this is a Furls. I think the colorway of this one is called Andromeda. I'm a Furls affiliate. I should know these things. Speaking of which, there was this Furls and Baggin video coming, because I have like 2 hooks and some yarn to show you guys. But this is what I got thus far. I'm still in section 1. Mainly because I started knitting those Christmas socks for Christmas in July, and I kind of just really enjoyed that process. But you can kind of see the sparkle there. You can see the sparkle there. But I'm enjoying this project. I think it's going to be a really nice shawl for my weather for fall. Lightweight things like this are wonderful for me. And I think that's just going to get gorgeous as it goes along. And I appreciate you sticking to the end and checking all of these out and listening as I talk about these. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today and spending time with me. And until I have some more finished objects to show you or get that Furls video up, you can find me here in this video. I hope you have a great day. Happy crafting, happy weekend, and know that you're loved.